this image is still Japanese. I bet you've probably guessed the theme of images by now. But I've just been going with nighttime images in Japan, just because I love Japan so much. It's my favourite country to visit, and I think the best time to see a city is in the night. You know, I just love the mood, the chill mood of it. You know, adding with this kind of music, which I'm going to quiet down a tiny bit. So yeah, this is Tokyo, and in the autumn, and Japan in the autumn is so cool. Basically what happens is the transition from summer to winter is so fast with the temperature, it shocks the leaves, and so they go bright red. It's got some of the brightest leaves in the world, and that's why autumn in Japan is so beautiful. And they even have light shows around like famous monuments and stuff, like where they light up the trees like this, and it just looks so beautiful at night. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to be talking about your friends holding you accountable. So, you know, making sure you are still responsible, keeping you in check, you know, because, you know, you can't hold yourself to account on your own. You know, you're just not possible. Like, ego gets in the way, or other things, and that's where friends are so important, to come in and to hold you to account, to even maybe principles or things that you believe in, and definitely steer you away from stuff that, you know, is not good for you, and you deep down know it. It's just maybe for whatever reason, whether it's an event or a change in mindset, cause you to kind of steer off path, you know. Oh gosh, okay, I need to mute that. So yeah, you know, why is it important? I mean, I've kind of basically just touched on it, so this is gonna be like a very quick one, I think. But yeah, if you don't have your friends holding you to account, like, we all in life will face a moment where we make decisions which we're not happy with, or we're not proud of. And so, you know, sometimes you can go down a bad path as well. Sometimes you might have had a really painful experience that you've had, and you react to it in a bad way, or you get influenced by, you know, some pretty bad characters, or even just influenced in just, you know, from bad characters, just influenced in a way that's not, you know, consistent with who you are. And that's why, like, it's really important, you know, to be held accountable. You know, because if you have some close friends who know who you are, who know what you believe in, and know that what you don't believe in, then they'll be like, oh, hey buddy, yeah, I don't think what you're doing here is right, or there's constant, like, it doesn't even have to be that. It can even just be something as simple as day-to-day stuff, where you're just doing something and you don't realize that what you're doing is having a negative impact or a bad impact, you know. And that's where having friends who have the objective view, you know, that outside view, can basically tell you, like, hey dude, like, you know, maybe you haven't considered this, or the way you are behaving in this way, or the actions you're doing here is actually causing this. You know, let's say, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe something to relate. I should have thought of this before doing this video, but it's on the fly thinking. You know, maybe something that, oh, for goodness sake, don't do that. I thought I muted you. Oh, there we go. Okay, we go. Yeah, my example. Okay, off the top of my head, you know, something simple as, you know, maybe you are naturally very sarcastic, and you say some comments which come across for you fine, but then someone else it might be a bit different, a bit kind of very hurtful, and then your friend might just go, hey man, like, we all know it's a joke, but this other person, obviously they're taking it in the wrong way. Though at the same time, I'm kind of mixed on that example. I don't think that's a very good example. I'm not going to like delete this or start this video again, because in that example, like, I'm kind of quite sarcastic myself, and if someone like basically reads my intentions wrong and thinks that my intentions are to offend them or hurt them, then I'm sorry, but that's their issue, and not mine. And if they don't know who I am and know that I would not intend to actually hurt them, it's almost a bit insulting that they think I would. So yeah, that example failed. You know what? I'm gonna pause the video here and just think for a second, because I actually want to come up with like a good example, right? To help with the point. So yeah, I'll be back in a second. Okay, I had my think. So my examples, let's say in the past, for context, when I was a kid, some traits I had was when I was quite judgmental and also I was quite cynical. So like, luckily I had a friend who was, who was like able to give me this insight and said like, hey man, like I think you've been quite judging of these two individuals who I was friends with, and like your judgments are coming really harsh on them, and they're, I think, getting quite down because of it, and I don't think you're realizing actually how much impact you're having on them. And I thought I was just being helpful, and also just kind of saying how it is, and I didn't realize actually how much of a bad impact it was. So I was so glad that my friend actually told me, because clearly myself I could not realize it, because you can only see so much. There are so many things that you miss, but that's why it's important to have other individuals around you who can spot things that you miss. And I said, yeah, of course, like I didn't want to make them feel that way, like that's never my intention, that's not who I am. So I'm going to change, I'm going to be aware of that, and kind of make sure I compensate for that, and it's kind of similar with cynicism as well. And then like, let's say like another example where I was feeling really, really like down at one point, like really, really down, like for a while, and my family knew about it, and one of my family members basically said to me like, yeah, look, your mum and dad, like they are really worried about you, and they seem very anxious lately and very like have a really heavy weight on their shoulders. And of course, like when you're especially when you're in a sense of kind of sadness or even depression, not I'm saying that was depression, but at that state particularly, you don't notice external factors. You can't see how other people are being affected or how sad they're being. So having that external objective kind of point of view was really refreshing, and kind of made me realize like, oh crap, that is like something that is definitely weighing on them, and I need to take responsibility for how much I'm impacting them here. And it was quite a profound thing for me to try and alleviate my suffering, so that the suffering of my parents would be less. So again, like without an objective view, without someone close to me like a friend or a family friend, I wouldn't be able to have that. And then like let's even say even traits about yourself normally, like even maybe it might not be like a normal example where one of my friends pointed out to me that I can make people feel guilty sometimes, and I might use guilt as a way to try and change the way people behave. And I was really grateful, because I thought, wow, like I've never considered that, like actually, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. And so I talked to some of my close friends about it, and just made sure that obviously that wasn't the case, that I wasn't kind of guilt tripping them into like kind of behaviors that I wanted to see, because of course that's not who I feel like I am, and if I was doing that without even me realizing it, then that's something bad. So, you know, I really appreciated one of my best friends coming and telling me that, because, you know, I think I could have taken offense to it, and I could have been defensive about it and just denied that that was a thing that I was doing. Another example was, and something that, you know, it's definitely a case where I had to kind of have that honesty, was during my teenage years, I was a liar. I was a pathological liar. I used to lie so much. It came with lots of insecurities, etc., and I'd use lies to try and kind of create perceptions of myself in people's minds. And so one of my close friends, because he was so close and because I trusted him, kind of said to me, like, you know, you do seem to lie too much. And I could have just kind of been defensive and obviously wrapped myself in my lies, because lies seem to just have a way of wrapping themselves and kind of protecting themselves. But it did take quite a lot to obviously admit that and realise obviously the downfalls of it, because, you know, you don't think about that kind of stuff. And again, I was super grateful for that friend to do it. And in order to have that, you need to have that level of trust. That level of trust and that openness and that kind of almost ability, like that kind of space where you are allowing your friends to come and tell you, you know, a point of critique you. And of course, we find it as humans, especially egotistical as we are, so hard to receive criticism. But if you can create that trust and that environment where, you know, your friends can do that, and that you know you're such good friends with them and you trust them so much that they're saying it not because they're wanting to be right or to prove a point, it's because they're doing it for your benefit. Their intentions are true. And even though you get that initial panic of like, holy crap, they've just kind of revealed my weak spot or something I'm guilty of, you can say to yourself, no, I know why this person's coming and saying it. It's because they have good intentions. And they may not be right, because you can talk to them about it and they might go, oh, actually, okay, I see it from that perspective. Now, it's not every single time that someone gives you critique and actually they're right. You know, maybe they're missing something themselves. But having that is fantastic. And, you know, if you be able to like have that with a friendship, where you're able to, in essence, allow them to say anything critical, even to the point of hurting you. Because, you know, I've had this with like friends in the past where they've made me cry and I've made them cry from kind of tough love. But, you know, we become stronger friends as a result, because they know that I have their best intentions at heart, and they have my best intentions at heart. It's a really, really powerful thing. And it holds you to account, because I think if you kind of know people who don't have that kind of closer friends and aren't be able to hold to account, you know, and you can see the flaws, and they don't want to be open up to emotionally, and they don't want to be receiving that kind of criticism, and they don't realize it. They don't realize that they can't see these things on their own. They need help. They need some humility. They need to put the ego down for a bit, because, you know, it gives you such a fresh perspective, and it makes your bonds stronger with people, your friends. You feel stronger to them, and it makes you a all-round better person. So that's it on kind of, you know, how your friends are really responsible for holding you accountable. And my advice to you would be is really try and create an environment and encourage your friends to say, to be able to do that. You know, I do try and say to my friends, like, please, like, if there's anything that you're noticing in my behavior that is out of whack or is not right, raise it with me, you know, and have the humility to obviously, you know, take it as well, because it still can be hard. You know, it's times where it still can be hard. And I had a recent one as well, but it's very rewarding, and it, it helps you kind of calm your ego a bit. So I hope you are able to really think on that and see if it benefits you, because if you can create that between some friends, it's a super, super powerful thing. Alright, well, I wish you guys a good, beautiful rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next video.